There exists a concept where your mere existence is an act of rebellion to a system or concept that you hate. I first got this from an anime called JJK, Jujutsu Kaisen, which if you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It's a great show. There's a character named Toji who was born with no powers, into a world where powers are everything. He was looked down upon for years, and he ends up becoming one of the strongest in the clan. And he disassociates himself from the clan because he hates it. He has this iconic line where someone calls him by his last name of the clan, and he says, "I'm not a Zenin anymore. I took my wife's name. It's Fushiguro now." That's my favorite line in the show. Uh, but point being, his whole existence in itself is a rebellion. Just him existing. He became what the system wanted, but walked away because he didn't want to indulge in it. He didn't agree with the system, so he walked away. But that was the whole point. Um, it was a game. It was only a game if he played, and the only winning move in his eyes was not to play. And sometimes that's always the best move. It's funny because I'm right now I'm reading the book 1984. I never got the chance to read it in high school. I don't know why, but it's portraying the same exact concept. And honestly, I thought it was unique to that character when I was watching the show. But the main character of 1984 has a deep hate of the system, and it's really in his own head, where he could only hate about it. He can't speak it out loud, or he can't communicate with anyone about it. Until he meets this girl named Julia. He indulges in intercourse with this girl, and it's strictly for the pleasure. It's strictly for pleasure. And that's a crime within the society that they're in. Intercourse without the intention to reproduce is a crime. So he lays there in bed asking, and he asks her, "Have you slept with other men?" And she says yes. And he kind of goes on a whole monologue where he kind of, to sum it up, he says like that's the only answer he wants to hear, uh, because it's a form of rebellion, right? The act in itself might be a crime, but the way she lived was a rebellion within itself. Her mere existence opposed the system, right? The system hates her. Uh, and I think today that's not the case. Um, I think it's actually quite the opposite in today. And I want to connect this back to politics because there's a lot going on now in the world, and we talk a lot about politics and we argue a lot. We hate a lot. We hate the way our policymakers make policies and how they don't keep the masses, or the common people in mind when creating these policies, which is fair, but I think the hate is surface level to an extent. Um, I think we do a bad job actually understanding why that is, and why we feel angry, and what parts we can actually learn to suppress that anger, to understand the anger, um, in a more productive way, to have a more productive conversation. And I don't think that's an accident. I think that was manufactured by our system that was created. And what it does is it buries this stuff into jargon, complicated terms and words that you just think you're not smart enough to understand, or it's too complicated to understand. And we always wave it off as it's like it's too complicated and it's not that simple. But it really is that simple, right? You could find it anywhere, uh, online. Simple Google search, a book. Well, a book is a little bit more lengthy, but once you really understand the system or a concept, you can talk about it, and your opinion actually holds weight. And that's how usually curiosity and productive conversation starts. And I want to stress this in this video because I think it's the only way to really insinuate change. At the end of the day, it starts with us as much as you think like something is like little as one vote doesn't matter, or my vote doesn't matter, my voice doesn't matter. But it starts off with one person, like one conversation, one person kind of changing their views in a certain way because they understand your perspective. And next thing you know, you have thousands and millions of people backing you up and your ideology. So I'm an optimist when it comes to that. But the point is, it has to start at a micro level where we can educate ourselves. And it takes effort, and most people stop at that effort. Maybe it's because they don't see a direct product to it, which is fair, I understand, but I just think this stuff is important and it affects you indirectly in ways you don't notice, making it making the correlation direct. It's like a paradox. There's a there's a line from the book that I'm reading, and I'm gonna title this video this, but it's ignorance is strength. And if you keep everyone confused and you keep them uneducated, it's very easy to stay in control. And they fight amongst each other as opposed to the common enemy. Quote unquote, the common enemy. I don't think anyone's our common enemy in the country you live. But we're living in the most information rich time that that history has ever shown, right? We have the internet, books, anything and almost everything is accessible to us, whether it's behind a paywall for free, um, even at a pirating level. You can find the information. But I think that's the problem now. There's too much information and people don't know where to start. And it's the same thing with like the consumption, the influx of consumption that's going on. It's like you're consuming too much that your brain isn't wired to consume that much in that short of a time. So I guess I want to give my personal advice here where you can start. And it doesn't start like watching short form content like Reels or TikToks or anything, but it just starts where your curiosity actually lives. And you follow that. Even if it's deep down the rabbit hole or it's at step one. Just start there and work your way out. Because as soon as you target your curiosity, your retention on that topic stays. And you're able to consistently go back to it and find it interesting to understand. And that's personally in everything that I do has helped me a lot progress and stay true to myself. I think the more you learn, the clearer everything gets, and all the problems, all the solutions, they actually become super clear to you. And it's not a zero-sum game, right? You start to understand it and you could have productive conversations. If there's one thing I would want someone to take out this video, which is a segment I kind of want to implement from now on, get disgustingly educated on anything that you do. And that's the first step to starting or insinuating change. Knowledge is strength. Thank you.